beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. How the devil are we, good peeps? 'Tis I. Yes, 'tis I. Now, today, you remember that bloke S's, James S's? Oh, handsome chap. He's handsome chap anyhow, James. So James S's has popped up on the old Twittoids, links as usual in the dubris. Oh, come be a war teacher, November. Get on with it, folks. Here we go. Right, buy me a coffee, the usual stuff, end of the month. If you can help in any way, please do. So James S's has posted a really important document, which is available in a much longer form. There's about 31 pages of it, but 30 pages of it are signatures, or 28 pages of it are signatures. So I thought we'd have a look at this morning, because it's terribly interesting, and to those of us that are involved, a sign of perhaps times are changing. So let's have a look and see what you make of this, shall we? First of all, we have James said, a letter with over 500 signatories, including numerous NHS doctors and mental health professionals, has been sent to Wes Streeting. You know Wes, boxy but good, describing the cash review as an absurd spectacle and demanding that the recommendations are suspended immediately. They even attempt to call into question Dr. Cass herself, accusing her of fear-mongering. This demonstrates as clear as day that a dangerous ideologues continue to hold senior roles in our health service. They must be rooted out for the safety of our children. I couldn't agree with James anymore. I mean, it's absolutely vital that we get these people out. GMC's around the corner. Should I go and see him? Then we have this execrable letter from the 15th of October from a group called Transactual. This is it. Dear Wes Streeting, MP, Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, we, the undersigned, organisations and individuals with an interest in trans healthcare, are writing to you today to express our deep lack of confidence in the cash review and our concerns over the Department of Health and Social Care's continued insistence on further degrading the healthcare offer for trans people by implementing and extending its recommendations. There's no such thing as trans healthcare unless you've hurt yourself, in which case there is obviously care, but it's not trans care. It's care for somebody who's hurt themselves. Trustworthy government reviews of the evidence base for a particularly controversial policy, especially in the medical field, do not look like the cash review. So the first thing they're saying is it's an untrustworthy review with no evidence base. The bloody nerve of these cross-dressing blokes. They have a clear mandate and problem to solve which are raised by those directly affected, not by newspaper columnists or ideologues. Do they? So you have to be directly affected by something for there to be a government review. I don't think so. They do not exclude members of the patient cohort. They do if they're nuts. So what we doing? Nuts. Loons. Right? So what's your report on? Loons. Right, how many loons have you spoken to? None. But your entire board should be made up of loons. Should it? No. We're not speaking to the very people who are the ideologues that are pushing this fetishistic nonsense. They do not exclude members of the patient cohort and those with long-term experience in the field from... Yet being a cross-dresser and knicker fumbler for the last 30 years doesn't give you any professional acumen at all. With long-term experience in the field from being part of their team or consider professional or lived experience bias. Oh, your lived experience. Yeah, nobody cares about your lived experience, all right? We're interested in the science. You utter morons. There's people who work in the NHS have written this. Bear that in mind. They ensure there is transparency and meritocracy. The irony! And meritocracy in the appointment of key personnel. Do they? Well, looks like what they've done. Dr. Cass, top of her field. And you're saying that that's not meritocratic. It's because you're not interested in meritocracy at all. What you're interested in is identitarian elevation. It's a different thing. Fools. There's so many people who have signed this. We should get every single one of them. Every single one of them, right? They do not assume that the treatments in question and anyone involved with them are part of an ideological conspiracy, but you are. Right? Your letter proves it. It just proves it. They are clear and consistent about the evidentiary standards being used to judge any given concerns. They were. Cass's report is a masterclass. Globally. When problems arise, areas or mistakes are made, they engage with the impacted communities. No, they don't. I.e., we're not having you involved, you bunch of gusset fumblers. Right? Done. No. LARPing women pretending to be gay men. When strong critiques are made by other experts internationally, they are discussed and engaged with rather than ducked and declared unacceptable to mention. None of this can be said about the cash review. So in other words, what the cash review didn't do was capitulate to the lunatics like Jack Turban. He's a nutter, isn't he? Or who's that other one that looks like a sort of young Groucho Marx, which thinks she's a bloke? Chase Strangled Nuts. No, Chase Strangio. Him. He's a she. Her is a lunatic. They're all lunatic. So it says here, instead we have suffered the absurd spectacle of a review which... An absurd spectacle. Why did I read that as abused testicle? We have suffered the absurd spectacle of a review which, despite finding crushingly long wait times, drawn-out assessment procedures and strong indicators of long-term accuracy in the targeting treatment, its recommendations seek to undermine trans people's care by fear-mongering about the number of young people who seek it and using unreliable methodologies and evidence thresholds to represent the efficacy of hypocrisy hormone treatments. That's one sentence! Oh my God! I'm out of breath now. The research evidence, which is effectively hidden from the general reader in appendices, does not support the conclusion. The research evidence, which is hidden in the appendices. So where's your research? Where's your references? Have you got this? Is this backed up? Yes, in the appendices. Why have you hidden it there? Because they're not writing the research. They're utilising the research that has been done for them. These people are thick, right? Research evidence is hidden from the general reader in the appendices. It does not support the conclusions extrapolated from it by the review, right? And is so methodologically problematic. That's a word they love, isn't it? It's so problematic as to be inadequate for policy making. The technical failings of the Cass review. Now, this is in blue. You can see a number 1 there. Guess what? It's that ridiculous American thing. The load of nonsense has been debunked. Was it a New York Times? It was some idiot. I don't know. This is a real concern. So you're basing your real concern on a debunked ideological paper. Right, okay. It's a concern, therefore, that the review promotes an inherently flawed approach to determining the efficacy and safety of clinical support for trans healthcare. There is no ethical nature for this, right? It has no efficacy. It ain't safe, and it stops for everyone. There you go. Not complicated. In this context, it is worrying that Baroness Cass has found it necessary to deny her colleagues accusations of bias against trans lives and trans culture. Right, okay, there is no trans culture. There is none. You don't have any, because you don't historically exist, because you're a fetish that's got out of the bloody closet, and we're going to put you back in it. There you go. Especially since other concerns about her leadership of the review have been expressed, including the selection of Baroness Cass without consideration of other candidates. They don't like it because they haven't been invited to the table because they're mad. Because they're mad. They're incapable of thinking, ideologically captured, see. The secrecy surrounding the commissioning of the Cass review by the Conservative Secretary of State for Health and refusal to answer a Freedom of Information Act request regarding this. So this is the secrecy surrounding the commissioning of the Cass review that was announced in Parliament to the public. This is real. That's why I can't get past. It's real. Lack of transparency in the commissioning of qualitative and quantitative research for the Cass review, with a trans-led multi-university research team receiving no response to their bid. What a surprise. So the nutters that caused the problem didn't get to sit at the table to solve the problem, and now they're upset because they bid to get in on the problem, which they caused, in order that they could keep the problem they caused going, and the smart people that did the report went, no, not them. Oh, I love it. I love it. I just love it. Squirm. You can squirm all you like, you homophobic swine. And it just goes and on. On and on. Right? On and on. There's another bit as well. Here's another bit here. Look. See? This does not need to be the case, he says here. See, how can we trust you? It should be a collaborative arrangement. And they bring in the LGBTQ plus organisations who've got nothing to do with this. There is nothing medical about the LGBTQ plus organisation. Who's at the top of that? Bloody Bailey? I bet it is bloody Bailey. Right. So, what they're calling for Wes to do, to a rebuilding trust with the LGBTQ plus community, Wes, don't engage with any of them, because they're not part of the gay or lesbian community. And the LGB and the LGBTQ plus includes men who think they're women and women who think they're men, and men who think they're lesbians and women who think they're gay men. So the LGBTQ plus is no longer anything to do with gay or lesbian people. It's just simply hard left, cross-dressing lunatics who want equity for everyone, and they want to be able to carry out their fetish wherever they fancy. So they're saying they want West to establish transparency for the Cass review by publishing details of the process by which it was commissioned. What for? It's done now. Its governance structure was decided and Hilary Cass was selected as chair. I imagine it said, right, we're going to put this together, no trans nutters. With a 1 next to it. And then when you look down at the bottom it says, LARPers, fetishists, cross-dressers, paraphiliacs, confused women, no trans nutters. That's what it said. Good. They want to suspend the implementation of the cash review's recommendations immediately, including removing the current provision on prescription of GnRH analogues, puberty blockers for trans children. Trans children, see? They need that trans child, don't they? They need it because if they get the trans child, they get the innate trans identity. They get the innate trans identity, it can become a protected characteristic in real time. That's what they're attempting to do, and they must be stopped. They want to support the British Medical Association's ongoing review. There is no ongoing review, right? The British Medical Association, that's where that LARPing bloke, that bloody idiot, is it Raphael? Works, is it? And other related morons, the BMA. They're just a bloody union outside their box. We look forward to receiving your assurances on these matters. I would, if I was Wes, I would just put a video up saying, in response to your not considered at all well letter and the 500 signatories. Thanks for doing it. That's what I'd do if I was Wes. Now, what we've got here, look who signed it. Belcher from Transactional, Andrea Brooks, Beaumont Society, oh, the homophobes writing for us, and Vice Chair of Newbury Pride. Right, Jen Yockney from Biphoria, Stephen Keeble, the Director at Birmingham LGBT, Katie Neves, Founder and Director of Call to Be Trans, right? So, essentially what you've got is a bunch of lunatics, right, who've done this. Absolute Fruit Loops. And I don't know what they think they're doing, but what we've got now is a list of people that support it. We have the whole list. And it's going to be worth looking at the names on it, going through those names, and trying to find out exactly who these people are. GMC's round the corner. I might pop round with the list and say, right, we need to investigate every single one of these people. We need to get them out of the NHS, and we need to do it with extreme prejudice. And by that I mean, you fire them immediately for gross misconduct. No messing about. Right? Then Unison will come in and defend them. Let's have the damn scrap. Now, Ultra Agent Kathy Mudge, warrior teacher extraordinaire, has put up, and this is great, so I'll end with this. Please tell me what a lush cosmetic sales girl, several engineers and software specialists, a farm worker, Stephen Whittle, a male impersonator, and senior NHS staff have in common. Some of them have access to children. High priests and their supplicants in the Church of Trans, which I think sums it up. These people are dangerous. We must identify where they are and we must identify who they are, and they must be out of jobs. It's that simple. And we've now got names of 500 to go on. Good luck to all of them. May the farce be with you. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.